I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, I am Yehezkiel Panjaitan. Today I stand here as a first speaker, representing the opposition firmly and proudly standing against the motion. And the motion said this House would adopt student loan mechanism in Indonesia. Now, I have listened carefully to what the proposition has said, and I want to acknowledge their concern is real. The problem is a student dropping out because they cannot afford tuition, the limited reach of scholarship, the pressure on middle class families. These are green issues that deserve real solution. But here is what I want you to think about today. Identify the right problem doesn't automatically mean proposing the right solution. And when I look carefully at what the proposition is actually offering, I see a solution that sounds helpful on the surface, but carries serious risks underneath. So let me show you exactly why. Before I develop deeper into my argument regarding the motion that has been present, allow me to define the meaning of the motion so we are all on the same page. The proposition is proposing a student loan mechanism where students borrow money to fund their university education and repay it after income. They specifically refer to a Singapore style model combined with a bond system that ties graduates to contribute back to Indonesia. Now, the critical question is not whether student loans work in theory. The critical question is, does the model actually work for Indonesia, for its people, or for its economy reality? And this is exactly what proposition arguments start to fall apart. So, why do I stand here today in opposition? Because I believe that a policy designed to help vulnerable people, students who can barely afford tuition, families who live from on paycheck to the next news reality, hot just optimist. The proposition has shown a beautiful picture of what student loans should looks like. And that is exactly what I am here to unpack point by point, argument by argument. Okay, before I get into my arguments, I want you imagine something that could very easily become real if this motion passes. Okay, let's imagine a young man named Henri, exactly the kind of person the proposition says the policy is designed to help. His family is middle class, not poor enough for a full scholarship, not wealthy enough to pay tuition without stress. So he takes the student loan. Full of hope, he studies hard for 4 years. He graduates. But the job he gets pays just enough to cover his basic needs. And now every month, Chung's take already teen salary goes straight to loan repayment. He cannot save, he cannot help his parents, he cannot fairly choose what he wants to do his career because every decision now has the factor in debit in the on his shoulders. I call this his not solution, deciding on struggle for another, and Henry deserves better than that. Now, before I present my argument, I want to be very clear about the fundamental equation that I believe the proposition has failed to answer. The firstly, who actually carries the risk when things go wrong? Second, does an incoming Kahneman repayment system actually work in economic as informal as Indonesia? And last, my question, does that actually fix the root problem or does it just make the problem more bearable for now while quickly making it worse later? Okay, the three questions are the foundation of everything I am about to say. Now, I want to respond directly to what a proposition has argued, but because I think it is important that I don't just paste their points, but actually engage with them head on. This proposition told me that the Singapore model is the right fit for Indonesia. I respectful but firmly disagree. Singapore is a small, wealthy, highly urbanized country with one with one of most formalized labor market in the world. Nearly every worker there is an formal employment. In common and this common, the incommon contingent repayment system works there precisely because the government can easily monitor and collect repayment. Then Indonesia is the complete opposite. A massive portion of Indonesian workforce operate in the formal sector: street vendors, seasonal farmers, home-based workers, small family business. These people earn money, yes, but their income is irregular, undercome, and nearly impossible to track down a formal repayment system. So when the proposition says students only pay when they learn, that student fair, but the mechanism isn't implemented fairly in Indonesia simply doesn't exist yet. The proposition taught me that school RCM are too limited and three over student loans are the better answer. But I want to challenge that logic directly. The fact that school RCF are currently limited isn't an argument for replacing them with debt. Is an argument for fixing and appending them. Fraud is broken. I repair. I don't build a road and charge people to use instead. The proposition is essentially saying because the free option is not working out enough that us give a fault that is giving up on the right solution and setting for a convenient one. The proposition also argued that student loans benefit university because the money can be used for facilities and research. And I find this argument deeply concerned. Okay, that the development of academic institution should result on financial burden of the very student those institutes are supposed to serve. When university become financially dependent on student loans, they have every incentive to keep tuition high and encourage more borrowing. This is exactly when happened the U.S. The country is proposition themselves admit a broken system, and that broken system and exactly here. But university become addicted to loan money. I don't and want Indonesia to walk down the same roads. Ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with this. Okay, I don't stand here to argue against education. I stand because I believe education is too important to be funded through that. I believe the next generation of Indonesia is too fully able to be handed a loan before their careers even begin. Indonesia deserves a bolder vision than studies loans. It deserves a vision where every younger person, regardless of their family financial situation, can walk into a university, pursue the potential, and walk away ready to contribute to this nation, done by debt. Okay, and that is exactly what I stand here to fight for, what full conviction with clear logic and without a single doubt. And I'm proud to opposition this motion. That's all enough for me. Thank you.